Okay. Now, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Daniela Sicurelli from the University of Trento. I'm happy to introduce this webinar on political and social sciences. As you can see, the title of the webinar is International Relations and Development. They are two very strictly interlinked issues in the education and also research. You can think, for example, at the topic of sustainable development. If you see the global consensus on sustainable development goals, it requires international cooperation. You can see, for instance, with respect to Italy and Vietnam relations, the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement has a dedicated chapter on sustainable development, which shows how much international cooperation is relevant for development. Now, Italian universities deal with the topic of international relations and development from different angles: international political economy, international relations, sociology, security studies, and so the University of Trento, for instance, has a master program on global and local studies, a program on European and international studies. They are master programs together with a program on management of sustainability and tourism, which has an agreement with Vietnamese universities, and a bachelor's degree on international studies that offers a double degree program with Hanoi University. So now the webinar will introduce the main programs in Italian universities on international relations and development. So now I will leave the floor to my colleagues from the University of Macerata, Professor Alessio Bartolacelli, and then I will leave the floor to Professor Pietro Masina from the University of Napoli Orientale, and finally to Dr. Silvia Menegazzi from the Luis Guido Carli University in Rome. We will have also two testimonials from Dr. Tu Thuy Hong from Hanoi University and Dr. Thi Thu Dang, sorry for my pronunciation, consultant at the World Bank. I need to give 8 minutes each for presentation so that we will have in the end time for questions and answer. Okay, so please, Alessio, I can give you the floor. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Daniela. May I share my screen? I hope. Can you see it?
Yes,
Thank you
we
very
can.
much. So I hope that I will be. Thank you very much, Daniela, for the presentation, and very welcome to everyone. My name is Alessio Bertolacelli, and I'm coming from the University of Macerata in central Italy. I am not a political scientist. I am a lawyer, not a practicing lawyer, an academic lawyer in the field of business law. And I think that's important to understand the topic of today's seminar from this point of view as well. So we are dealing now with international relations, the social sciences, and sustainability. And I would like to have a broader look to this topic from a private perspective as well. Why? Because when we deal with international relations, we do not mean just relations between sovereign states or between sovereign countries, but we also must take into account the increasing and, frankly speaking, even huge role that multinational enterprises in particular are playing in this field. We must take into account what the Organization for the Development, the International Organization for Development wrote in 2018. Multinational enterprises also account for half of global exports, almost 1/3 of world gross product, and about 1/4 of employment. So we are dealing with multinational enterprises, with big firms that are basically as important as many states are. And so international relations between enterprises and multinational enterprises are of a huge importance for what we are dealing with when we talk about sustainability and sustainable development. So we must also consider inter-entrepreneurial relations. And this means that we must consider also the private economy, not just the public economy, and the regulation of private enterprises, in the sense that these are enterprises created by private people, even if they are public enterprises in the common sense. So from this point of view, the development and the sustainability, as Daniela was pointing out in her introduction, it deals also, and in particular, with the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, with its 17 goals. And we must take into account the fact that many of such 17 goals deal with social sciences and related profiles. When we are dealing with the freedom of people, when we are dealing with the concept of removing the anger from the world, and so on and so forth, we are dealing with something that has to do also with social sciences and not just with STEM, with hard sciences. And in any case, the three magic letters of sustainability, ESG, are to be taken in consideration jointly, and from my point of view, with an holistic approach. So when we are dealing with sustainability and with ESG sustainability, environmental, social, and governance sustainability, we cannot limit ourselves to just one of these. We have to deal with all of them together. And this means that we must have a strong public and private cooperation. The public sector has to do with the regulation framework, at least, for the mandatory obligations that are over each company and each private firm. But we have also the voluntary point of view that is to be taken in consideration by each firm involved in this situation. And in other words, sustainability is not just what we commonly intended as an environmental sustainability. We must also consider sustainability from the social and the governance point of view. And this means a human-centered approach. And I'm very happy that we have here with us some Dan Huong from the World Bank, because this is something that deals directly with the project that has been started by the World Bank with the human-centered approach, a human-centered company approach. That means, let's think, when we are thinking about private organization as companies are, let's think about the outfalls that this has on each people, on each person, when we are dealing with a company and the company's purpose. And let me now have a couple of minutes talking about my university in particular. Why? Because, well, from human-centered approach to humanism, and this is one of Italian specificities. In particular, what I'd like to highlight here is the fact that many of Italian universities gather in a network that is named Rete dell'Università per lo Sviluppo, the network of the university supported development, that aims in particular with the fact of developing best practices in the field of sustainability, and in the field of sustainability in the academic environment. And with reference in particular to the University of Macerata. Well, the University of Macerata's motto is l'umanesimo che no, the innovating humanism. And the innovating humanism deals in particular with this human-centered approach that I was talking about before. So just a few examples of what humanism means in Macerata is, well, sustainability at UNMC means that we have, for instance, a German chair in business law in the European Union Sustainable Economy. I am the chairholder of this chair. This is a chair that has been awarded by the European Commission in order to develop teaching activities in the field of sustainability and in the field of sustainable development. And we are developing this teaching activity in many of the 5 departments that we have at the University of Macerata, not just the Department of Law, that is my department, but also the Department of Social Sciences and Social Politics and so on and so forth, Political Sciences and so on and so forth. Sustainable Innovation Lab, a laboratory in the field of sustainability in the public sector, sustainability and digital transition. Here we have 3, 4 projects that have been funded by the European Union in the field of sustainability and properly in order to find out ways, new ways in order to develop sustainable attitudes and approaches to what the university does and to our own researches and research fields. So Transurban EU and China. As a university, we have a strong relationship with the Far East, in particular with China, but we are very much interested in broadening it with other important countries from the Far East. And the internal sustainable practices that you can find at this webpage, and I think that I will leave this this short presentation to the attendees so that if they have any question, they can find some solution directly in this website or even asking me directly. So overall, just to wrap up, and I hope that I'm in time still, a sustainable approach to many different profiles. We are trying to offer a sustainable approach to many different profiles for public officers at national and international level. We have in English LLM and LLB programs in order to educate prospective officers also for international organizations, private employees and managers, and professionals in several areas, legal areas, tax and economic areas, consultant, and so on and so forth. All of this in order to shape a better tomorrow professionals and citizens in a humanistic idea. That does not mean that the hard sciences don't account. No, they are extremely important, but we have somehow to balance it with a human-centered approach. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope that I did not go beyond the time that I was allowed, and I'm very happy to answer your questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Alessio. I will now, we will now listen to the presentation of Professor Pietro Masina from the University of Naples, Orientale.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Daniela. Yes, well, first of all, I will say a couple of words about myself and about my university. I belong to the University of Naples Orientale, which is the oldest European institution dedicated to Asian studies. It started already in 1738. At that time was a center for training missionaries to Asia, but then it became a state university. We are now, well, in the last 100 years, we have been a state university. And myself, I've been working with Vietnam in the last almost 25 years now. Over 25 years, and I'm working on industrial development and labor, working conditions. At the moment, I have 2 European funded projects. One is a Horizon 2020 project, and the second one is a project financed by the European delegation dealing with working conditions in industrial zones. We have just completed 3,000 interviews with workers in industrial parks in different parts of Vietnam. And we cooperate with Vietnam Academy of Social Sciences. Now, let's go to the topic of this morning. We are presenting our faculties, our programs in social sciences and political sciences, international development cooperation. Well, the first thing I would like to say is that these programs are characterized by a high level of multidisciplinarity. What is multidisciplinarity? These programs are very special because these are programs where you can study at the same time together, combine law, as the just last presentation demonstrated, political sciences, history, economics, sociology, anthropology, and so on and so forth. We combine, we keep together different disciplines, international relations, of course, and we keep together all these disciplines, and we try to form, to produce as a result, people that are able to move, to use different tools in approaching reality. And this means that we are highly flexible. Our typical students are students that can have instruments, tools from law, but at the same time they know international relations, they know political sciences, they have different tools. It's different from faculties where you only specialize in one topic. And we think this is very important to understand reality, and it's particularly important to understand the world of today that is changing so rapidly. And you need to access, to understand processes that cannot be understood using a single discipline. But at the same time, our programs always offer the possibility to specialize in one field. And one field could be a geographical area, or could be a thematic issue, or could be also a disciplinary field. For you can be you can get a degree in political sciences with a strong specialization in economics, for instance, or in law, or international relations. And normally our programs are always 3 years for bachelor and then 2 years for masters. We call laurea magistrale. And through these 5 years, you can eventually specialize in one field or another. And you can look at the possibility to study in Italy political sciences as a way to understand Europe, not only a country. You know, we are a single market, we are a European Union, and many of our programs are strongly focused on Europe, and that can be interesting for Asian students. Other programs are stronger international emphasis, and some of our programs are strongly connected to the study of Asia and East Asia in particular. And for instance, in my university, we have a program at the master level, well, at the bachelor level and continues at the master level, where our students study political sciences, but also they master one language of Asia. They specialize in China or Korea, Japan, the Arab world, or Africa. And soon we will start teaching also Vietnamese as one of the languages that you can study for 5 years. We are already teaching Vietnamese with labs, but we will start teaching Vietnamese for 5 years. Our students will study 5 years. And then, of course, our students also participate in international exchanges. For example, we have students that study Indonesian. They go to Indonesia to spend either 6 months or 1 year every year. Therefore, it's a very well integrated kind of education. And which kind of possibilities for future employment this education provides? It's very various, because you can specialize in different areas. Therefore, you will search an employment in the areas where you are specialized. But just to name a few, some courses emphasize the training for public administration. This is not the case of my university, but it's very important in other universities. Business, as the last presentation just indicated, is a possibility. And again, you have the full basket of tools to deal with other countries, other cultures. It can be very useful for business. Can be diplomats. Our diplomats, and the Italian diplomats, are always, well, the large majority, they come from political sciences. And we have several diplomats that studied at my university. Development cooperation is another area it's very important. We have a lot of graduates that have specialized in development cooperation that now work in cooperation with Vietnam. And we have also country specialists. I'm thinking of people working for instance, very large firms that have within their firms they have a study department where they need to make strategies, and they need to have this kind of expertise. If you want to make a big investment in a country, you need to have an understanding of that country, and our programs are the right programs to understand these countries. And why Vietnamese students should come to Italy to study these programs? Well, Vietnamese students can either choose to go back to Vietnam and to become an Italian expert or become a European expert, for a person that can facilitate relations between Italy and Vietnam from the Vietnamese side, or could choose to stay in Italy and to become a Vietnam expert for Italy. And this, of course, because the relations between Italy and Vietnam are growing rapidly, and we have more firms that are going there to invest, but also we have more academic exchanges. But also between Vietnam and Italy, there's a very high-level dialogue on issues like sustainability. For we need more people able to facilitate this cooperation at all levels. That can be at firm level, but is also that government-to-government level, or region to region. For is the relations with Italy are expanding, and there are two important countries and two countries that share a number of features in common. Therefore, I think there are good prospects for Vietnamese students to study in Italy and then to find successful employment afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pietro. Now from Macerata and Naples, we will move to Rome. So we will have the presentation by Professor Silvia Menegazzi from the Lewis University.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I am, of course, bringing also the greetings from our Deputy Rector, Professor Raffaele Marchetti, who is the Deputy Rector for Internationalization. Few words also about myself. I teach international relations and Asia studies at the Department of Political Science of Lewis University. And I am also, I've also been trained as an area studies specialist with a focus on China and Asia, and also as a political scientist with a focus on international relations and Asia more generally. So I really believe that the topic of today is very relevant for students that would like to begin a career in the international relations field with some links with the development and development studies more generally. I also would like to say a few words about Lewis. Lewis University. Lewis means Libera Università Internazionali degli Studi Sociali Guido Carli. So it is, of course, an international university with a focus on social sciences. And it is located in the heart of Rome, and it offers an innovative educational approach. We have 4 departments: the Department of Economic and Finance, the one of Business and Management, Law, and Political Science, where I belong. The goal of Lewis University is not only to focus on acquiring certain knowledge on the disciplines that I have just mentioned, but also to let understand young people what they would like to do in the future, and also how to deal with such complex topics. In terms of some numbers about teachings, we have more or less 1,700 students for bachelor programs, and around 1,000 students for master degree programs. our attendance is obligatory. We have some admission entrance tests, but particularly we have a distinguished teaching staff from the academic world, and also that comes from different environments. Why I'm saying so? Because of course what distinguishes LUIS is that it maintains as a university also a privileged relationship with the business world. And here I will like to jump now on focusing on the topics of today, because of course previous colleague had mentioned the fact that we really need to try to understand sometimes the word that is out there in order when we are studying international relations with a focus on development. And I shared this view. The Agenda 2030 for development was mentioned before, and what I think it is also important to stress is that this agenda was also felt particularly important at this moment of history, because previous agenda, let's say, or previous goals that were set before, let's say in the years of in the beginning of the year 2000s, were an important objective, were an important mission that countries had set before, but they were not entirely met. So there was the need that in order to develop, world and countries needs to do something more. Of course, it was a starting point. So the idea is that, of course, we that are living in the developed world, we also have to understand what can we do more in order to let countries achieve all the same level of development at the global level. I think this is very important. And sometimes we, as students, let's say, but also countries, we lack the instrument to understand what can we do more. And this is something that students that study international relations and political science can achieve. They might understand which are the main tools to reach development and how to study. So how? Well, this is because political science gives students, for instance, a sound foundation in methodology and content in order to develop critical thinking, in order to better understand how the complex dynamics of the contemporary political, institutional, and social world are all interrelated. So this is and another important point that I would like to stress if you study international relations and the political science is that you will understand how specifically economics, politics, philosophy, law, these are all disciplines that are interrelated, and each one of them can offer you a different angle. Then by studying this kind of courses, you will understand how to develop it. So another important issue that I would like to stress is what you will do after that you study this kind of masters in Italy. Well, you can choose to work for an international organization. You can decide, for instance, to work for a non-governmental organization. You might decide, for instance, to go into the business-related sector. But another things that I would like to stress is that sometimes you also have to specialize on a specific area. And this is something that, for instance, we provide at LUIS. We have at the MA level, we have 3 different tracks, let's say, for students that study international relations. And one of these tracks is, of course, security, because the geopolitical context is very relevant. And we tend to match it with a specific expertise on a specific area. So, for instance, studying foreign languages, you can develop your expertise, and you can study Arabic, Chinese, French, Portuguese, Spanish. For instance, before Professor Masina was mentioning the fact that we are in Italy and therefore we are in Europe, and it is very important also for students to acquire a certain level of knowledge on European languages, and this is very important. Our courses, of course, are held in English, but there is also a focus on different languages. Then we have another track for the Master in International Relations, which is diplomacy. And again, if you are trained as a diplomat, you really need to know very well how political institutions with a comparative perspective work. And for instance, you have to study, if you are trained as a political scientist, you will study comparative politics, for instance. So you will understand how different political system works around the world. And then we have also a specialized track in our Master of International Relations on the Mediterranean context, because of course we know that the Mediterranean region is becoming more and more relevant in international affairs, not only from a regional perspective, of course, but also from a global perspective. So these kind of issues are also very important. And again, you will be trained, you will acquire specialized knowledge on these different areas by also obtaining the fundamental ability to understand how complex is the world of today, and what we can do more in order to have it developed in an equal way.
Thank you very much, Silvia. Now, you could hear from these presentations that a common feature of the offer, academic offer of courses in political and social science is the fact that they are very interdisciplinary. They have an increasing focus on Asia, Euro-Asia relations, and also are more and more interested in building programs and relationship with Vietnam. So now I will leave the floor to Dr. Tu Huang from Hanoi University, the Vice Director of Itachi.
Good morning, everyone. Do you see? Okay.
Yes, you can see it.
Okay. Yes. My name is Thuy. I am from Italian Language and Culture and International Mobility Center, Hanoi University. We are also known as Itachi. Today, I will say a little bit about the advantages of studying abroad for Vietnamese students. Currently, our Itachi Centro, we have a collaboration with 34 Italian universities. 2 weeks, we send about 150 Vietnamese students per year to bachelor, master, PhD programs, or double degree and exchange programs with full or partial scholarship. And all of our Vietnamese students, after the studying abroad period, they gain not only the professional skill and the CV upgrade, but also many unique experience that no one can tell them. The first, even before departure, they learned how to be responsible for themselves, how to choose the trustful sources of information. Because now there are many sources of information on the internet, and our Vietnamese students, before making the decision to study abroad, they must learn how to choose the exact which sources of information are the most useful, and which university or which course are most suitable for their career, for their future career. And then they learned how to prepare the application document in the proper way. For example, they had to know how to write a CV in the proper format, or how to write a motivation letter in the most convincing way. And then they must learn how to submit the application also in the proper way. For example, our Erasmus students, even though in the call of application, no one asks them for the cover letter, but when they send the application document via email, they always attach the cover letter to convince the selection committee. And after being accepted to the foreign universities, our Vietnamese students, they are the person who learned about how to prepare for the visa request documents, or how to prepare also the language to live in the hosting countries. And they are also the person who search for the information for their flight, for their housing, and do the preparation for the luggage. And also they are the person who learn the information about the immigration procedure or customs. All of these experience, they must live by, they must pass through by their own, not only from some reviewer on the internet. And then when during their study abroad period, they are the master of their life and study skills. For example, the time and financial management. When they are away from home, there are no parents who can help them with the daily activities like cleaning or preparation for meal. When they are abroad, they must not only focus on studying, but also from taking care of themselves. And this is one of the most important life skills that they can learn when they study abroad. Or also they have to be responsible for the legal and administrative document when they study away from home. For example, when they study in Italy, they must know how to prepare for the stay permit requests, and also for the stay permit renewal, etc. And they are the person who must try to find information and grasp the chance to do the job, part-time job or internship, or do the scientific research with the professors. And also they live in the intercultural environment where they have to resolve many cultural conflicts also with other foreign students. And then now, I know that there are many Vietnamese students are listening now. And if you are now making the decision to study abroad, I think Italy is one of the best destinations for you. Why? Because most of us love Europe, right? And Italy is one of the founding countries of the European Union. And it has 48 years of collaboration with Vietnam. Currently, Italy is the fourth largest trade partner in European Union of Vietnam, and Vietnam is the first largest trade partner of Italy in Asia. And Italy is the ninth largest economy in the world, and it has a very high quality education with the up-to-date didactic programs, especially in the field of political and social science. I will give you an example, like many professors already mentioned. For example, I sent many students to study international relations in at the University of Trento or the University of Messina, and all of them in Vietnam. For example, if you study international relations, you only study English language as the foreign language. However, in Italy, you can study many other foreign language as mandatory language, like French, German, Spanish, or Portuguese, etc. And it gives you many internship opportunities in EU organizations. Currently, we have 2 students who are doing the internship in EU Parliament and in the Action Aid organization in Denmark, and all of them are very satisfied. Due to the time limit, I cannot share further experience with you. But if you have if you have some questions, you can contact me to my email or my telephone number, as you can see on the screen. Thank you very much for your attention and your patience.
Thank you very much, Tui, for your presentation of the opportunities and challenges and also skills required for studying in Italy. So now we will have the last presentation by Dan Huong, from the consultant of the World Bank. Please.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Dan Huong. I'm currently in Hanoi, working as a consultant for the World Bank since 2018. And before that, I worked for Transparency International and the International Labour Organization also in Vietnam. And before that, I pursued my PhD study in political theory at Luis Budokali University in the center of Rome during 2007 and 2011, and that's why I'm invited to be here. Luis, as you may know, is ranked in the top 50 universities in the world for politics and international studies. During my time in Luis, I was taught by leading political theorists, including Daniele Akibuchi and Raffaele Marchetti, and also had access to other top political scientists such as David Held and Will Killica. In my observation, the teaching program in politics and international relations in Luis, especially compared to the education I had in Vietnam, focused much more on theory. And in terms of theory, while in Vietnam, the only theory which is supported by the Vietnamese Communist Party is a certain type of interpretation of Marxism. Meanwhile, in the United States, realism is the dominant theory, whereas I think Italy is the land of liberalism. So if you like the ideas of freedom, peace, and cooperation, then please come to Italy to learn politics and international relations. Thanks to my time in Rome, I came to know a lot of Vietnamese students who also studied in Italy. Upon return, I see that several of them joined with the Vietnam Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then they returned to Italy to serve at the Vietnamese embassy in Rome. Many continued their study and became PhD holders and later worked either at UN agencies such as UNESCO or the FAO or university in Vietnam or in the United States and the United Kingdom. For example, the current chief of the Natural Sciences Unit at UNESCO Vietnam was an alumnus of the Polytechnic University of Milan. The rest found employment in the private sector. I see that they either set up their own business or work for well-known banks, IT firm, or tourism company. I do believe that education and experience gained in Italy helped us a lot in our career and also in our inner growth as well. So I will end it here and looking forward to questions.
Thank you very much, Dan Huong, for your presentation of the opportunities for working in international organization and the relevance of studying abroad for this purpose. So now I will open the floor to the public for questions and any type of comment, doubts, or curiosity you want to ask to the presenters of the webinar. Anyone wants to ask a question? Okay, so if not, I think we can. I don't know if anyone else wants to add a comment or. Okay, so now I would like to thank everyone for participating in this webinar. I have registered the webinar, as you can see, so that the webinar will be public, and if you want, you can go and see it again in the future. Thank you very much for everyone. I was happy to meet you, and I hope. Oh, sorry, maybe we are having some question. Oh no, it's a comment. Okay, it's okay. Thank you very much to everyone. I hope to see some of the students that are here in this webinar today. I hope to see you in Trento soon. Goodbye, arrivederci a tutti.
Thank you, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.